This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Hello, you two.
Hey.
Hello, I'm in light denim because I hear that's coming back.
It looks great.
Okay. Is anyone interested in that?
It
looks great on you.
Summer vibes.
It does.
Yes,
it does. Going for that Britney 97 look.
There
All right. We are starting today by looking actually at a couple of high-profile crime stories that are making headlines. I'm sure you've seen some of this, but we're going to dive deeper. First, the suspect in the murder of 4 Idaho University students, Brian Koberger, arrived in Idaho yesterday to face charges of first-degree murder after he was arrested in his home state of Pennsylvania last week. Now, he is accused of killing 4 students in November who were all brutally stabbed to death in an off-campus house in the middle of the night. Now, the suspect was a criminology PhD student at Washington State University, which is really not far from the University of Idaho. He was arrested after DNA evidence at the crime scene matched DNA linked to family members. We are also learning that the FBI reportedly asked Indiana cops to pull the suspect over twice as he was driving with his dad from Washington State to Pennsylvania. Now, why did they do this? In order to get body cam video of Brian as well as his hands. If you don't know, and I listen to a lot of true crime, there's defensive wounds, of course, if someone's fighting back, but in a stabbing, unfortunately, you can actually get cut yourself with the knife. So that's what they were looking for. He is now reportedly going to be charged first-degree murder. Erica, what do you think about this?
There's so much happening in the world. It just makes no sense. Yeah. And the absolute lack of regard for human life is, it's I would say, alarming, but we've come to expect it. Yeah. It's just not that any of these things are brand new. I do understand that a lot of this is because we are privy to more information, but what is there to say?
I know. Like, what happened? Al, I want to ask you something about this. The police chief didn't give us a lot of information, especially to the campus kids at University of Idaho. And if I were a college kid and there was a killer on the loose, I'd be really freaked out. Right. Do you think the chief of police or police chief should have said something earlier, being like, there is a suspect, we just can't divulge that information?
I mean, it's a slippery slope because none of us are in police work. So I get both sides of it. One, you do want to alert the public. I remember watching I believe it was the Golden State Killer, and the police were saying that they didn't tell the women in the neighborhood that were being killed that there was a serial rapist and killer on the loose.
That's right.
Because they didn't want to alarm people. I'm like, this is the time to go ahead and ring that bell. But at the same time, I do understand that if you're tracking people down, you have a description of the suspect, you think you have them kind of cornered like apparently they did, you don't want to let that person know that you're on them, and especially since we see them driving cross country randomly. My question to both of you guys is, what do you think Pops knew about all this? Because this reminded me so much, Kabi, of the Petito case, where
Brian
the parents,
Laundrie.
The Brian Laundrie, when they hit his car, remember that? And like, the parents were being very shady and not helpful. I think when we start talking about school shooters and we start talking about murderers in which the parents are held accountable just like their children if they are aiding and abetting, which it appears like they were doing something. So you need to have something for them to think about, because other than this, you're going to have a nice father-son cross-country trip after 4 people have been chopped in half.
We are hearing also that the father will cooperate with the police, but at this point, I just feel horrible for everyone at University of Idaho. Can you imagine?
His time to help was before they took that road trip.
That's right.
That's when he needs your help.
That's true. That's very true. And another bizarre case, actually, another father in California, as we were speaking, has been charged with attempted murder. Okay, get this story. It's crazy. Police say he intentionally drove his Tesla off of a cliff. All right, let me tell you the story. Dr. Dharmesh Patel was driving his Tesla with his wife and 2 young children inside. They're right there. Police say he drove it off of a cliff known as ironically, Devil's Slide on Monday. Police released footage of the crash, okay? Amazingly, the doctor and his wife suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and the children were completely unharmed. But still, that car plunged more than 250 feet, and the victims needed to be airlifted out. Now, police say that based on eyewitness and evidences at the time of the scene, they believe that crash was intentional. There are witnesses that say, Erica, he made a sharp U-turn, sped fast, and drove right over that cliff. I wonder, too, would you bring up, like, Tesla's auto drive? I mean, I know that you have to push something off to get it on, but where would you go if you were this family? What would you think if you were this family?
Well, I don't know anything about Teslas.
Yeah.
I just know that there are some serious mental health issues in this country and in this world. I don't know that that's what the case was in the situation, but I struggle to. I feel like we use mental health as such a broad brush.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people struggle with mental health issues. There is a spectrum as to what that means for each individual person.
Yeah.
There comes a time when your mental health and your lack of ability to do something about it, especially this man is a medical professional.
Yes.
It's the ability to harm yourself or others. It becomes criminal.
Yeah.
If you're harming someone else, if someone else's life is in jeopardy. And the idea that this man could possibly have been trying to play God with his own family,
It like shocks
how do you
the system.
this whole day is like, how do you make sense out of nonsense?
Right. And you have, you have 3 kids. You're
Yes.
dad. Could you imagine?
No, I mean,
well,
unfortunately, I can, because I remember this again. Sadly, there's another story this reminds me of. Do you remember the woman in Daytona Beach that drove her kids into the?
Is that Susan Smith?
Into the lake, or Andrea?
Yeah. Whatever that monster's name was. Unfortunately, this is a thing, and we have seen people snap. Usually, it's mothers that have 5 kids under the age of 5, and they may literally have lost touch with reality.
Absolutely.
This seemed like a person that was obviously well-versed in mental and medical health, and it seemed deliberate. And I think that he should be charged with attempted first-degree murder. This to make a U-turn and do this is reprehensible, and I just don't know what we're going to do, Erica, because you're right. There does seem to be just a cloud of mental health issues that we do recognize, but then we sit and, like, we were looking at the game when the young man, Damar Hamlin, suffered a nearly life-ending injury. And we were prepared to send those guys back out there on the field, not realizing that everybody watching, everybody on that field was in shock. Like they were standing at a car accident over bodies of people they knew. They were like, all right, so do you know the play? Like, everybody was fine to keep going. Not everybody, but the NFL.
Yeah.
So it just shows you, like, we're hyper aggressive and hyper aware in certain areas, but in other areas we're wildly lacking.
Yeah.
So I think what we can do is start to kind of have people self-police, in that when you start having parents that are going to be tied to their school shooter kid, maybe they'll start making a phone call like, hey, he's starting to be real weird, and there's a bunch of notebooks with some crazy stuff written in them, because we need other people to kind of help us stop this before we get there, because the police can't do it on their own. They can just
respond.
Respond.
Yeah,
yes, that's
right. Well, we are so glad everybody's okay.
Yes.
That Tesla looked amazing. It was a good advertisement for Tesla because of how good it was, and we are wishing the family well, of course. But coming up on DBL, Prince Harry is dropping more bombshells about the royal family in his new memoir, why he always has felt like second best. Plus, this gets personal. Southwest gives travelers reward points. Yay! After that major holiday debacle. Boo! Is the company doing even close to enough? No. It's a new year, and DBL is all the talk.
Let's get it going.
We had a lot to talk about last year.
I'm flexing every day.
And we're not stopping in 2023.
I'll see you guys on the flip side.
What's going on, you guys? I'm reading. Isn't a doctor like the most stressful job, and we go to them? ? You know what? First of all, I wanted to say, Al, I watch a lot of Night Watch, which is ambulance drivers, and they wrote in and said, it's amazing they expect ambulance drivers and EMS and first responders to immediately jump back, almost like the NFL, after we ourselves have been in shock.
I don't know how they do that.
I don't know either. Because they go to the next call.
I watched a Vice.
We're talking about DeMar Hamlin, and the reaction to the players had was in shock. You don't give EMS and first responders any time for that.
No, I was watching this Vice like mini documentary online about because they put people in masks and they interview like people that were former prostitutes or drug runners or whatever crazy job you had. And one person was a 911 operator, and he was just like, you're just on a shift, and sometimes somebody says help, and then you hear a gunshot, and the line goes dead, and then you just take the next call. Like, and he's like, we have to leave at work after that, and it's like sometimes they can't get the person's thing, and the person's screaming, and then and they can't triangulate the call, and then they just have to move on, and just the
adrenaline that goes through you.
Yes, but also like how calm you have to be at the same time.
God,
these jobs that we ask people to do and we just kind of take for granted, like, oh yeah, there's always going to be an ambulance.
Surgeons, right?
At least a trauma surgeon, I would think you would have so many hits and misses.
Yeah.
You would understand that's part of your job.
Yeah.
But as as somebody that, sometimes you're just getting somebody that is not going to make it to the hospital, but they're still fully conscious.
Oh, God.
There's just the incredible things we ask people to do, and I think that it's really, I don't want to say underappreciated, but almost not thought about.
Yeah, I think they were bringing that up, like the shock was out. I think the reaction of the players after DeMar Hamlin, it was a changing point in football.
Yeah.
Seeing those... All right, welcome back. If you were one of the thousands of people stranded due to your Southwest flight being canceled, the airline is trying to make amends. It's now giving people 25,000 frequent flyer points, which sounds like a lot, but amounts to a little bit more than $300 in flights on their airline. The airline said it's acting with, quote, great urgency to process refunds, return lost bags, and reimburse money for the cost stranded travelers had to take on. Southwest canceled more than 15,000 flights over the Christmas holiday.
Tori?
Yeah.
Tori,
you still are suffering from like PTSD.
I wish you had some perspective on this story.
I know, and let me just say, I loved Southwest, loyal Southwest fan. So went to fly out to see my in-laws. That plane was canceled due to insufficient crew members, and we waited about 6.5 hours with the dogs, and we couldn't get our bags. So the bags are gone. We expect to get them tomorrow. Then we wait 4.5 hours in line to find out they don't know where our bags are. There are women there being like, I need formula. I wasn't ready for 12 hours. There are people that are like, I need my medication. And before you jump on me and say that should have been your carry-on, no one expected a 17-hour break or 2-day break or 3-day break. So we rebook. They cancel that flight. I'm out that money I haven't seen. My 3 bags are still gone, and it's been day 12. I'm someone who has a little bit of a platform. I tried tweeting at Southwest. I've tried calling at Southwest. And that crappy video of the guy being like, I'm truly sorry. Are you? Because it doesn't really feel like you are. People missed the loved one. Someone missed a heart transplant. Someone missed seeing the birth of their children. Funerals. I don't get to see my parents a lot. Gone. Holiday, gone. And I was lucky because I could drive back to Denver. But I still don't have my stuff. And I still don't feel like they care. And I want Department of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, which he is, to investigate, because it's 70% of all the flights that got canceled were all on your Southwest, and you got $6 billion in federal subsidy over the freaking pandemic. And what did you do? You gave it back to your shareholders, and now you're stranded. And we're just at the end of our rope. There's nothing to do. Right. There's no one to talk to. There's no hope. So flying has just become an absolute outrageous scam. And Southwest, you should be ashamed of yourself for thinking that hostage video was going to be enough. No. Because you have really, really hurt people. Really.
Yeah. Well, really. Dang. And not only, I just want to add this too, that your bags are in 3 different locations.
3, Chicago, Denver, Boston. Why? What? Someone had like ashes in there. I find this incredibly I feel like we're prisoners, the Southwest people. There's no recourse.
Right.
Thousands of dollars we don't have is gone trying to just see my family. Right. And they say sorry and give us $300 on your airline? Give me a break. Speaking of Southwest, a couple is being blasted on social media for being tacky after manipulating the airline's open seating policy. The couple posted a video showing their strategy. The wife takes the aisle, the husband the window. They wait until they find, quote, the right person. She taps to ask him if he wants to sit with them and then slides over.
I don't understand that. I mean, it's a super whack power move, I guess.
Is it discriminative?
But why isn't she? Yeah, of course it is. They're deciding who, and I'm sure. Let's be honest. I'm sure it's based on size. I don't know what else. What else would qualify? But it's a really rotten thing to do. It's not your place to do that. And the fact that they're so proud of it, Erica, to post it to the world.
Yeah.
I hope it was
like,
worth it,
do
buddy.
it and just don't tell anybody. I'll get people when I flew Southwest. Because I'm over it. Yeah. When I flew Southwest, I would get guys who would like tap me and be like, "Hey, you want to sit in the middle seat?" And I'm like, "No, buddy. There's plenty of other seats." But they were like it would happen all the time. People want to have that power to determine who's going to sit next to them.
Wow.
So yeah. But I'm not even.
The answer to this is assigned seating with Southwest?
I don't know. Southwest has got a lot of change, especially their IT. They completely have to update their whole thing. But just to anyone watching that's on Southwest, we're not products. We're customers. We're humans. And we want to see our families and get our stuff back. We pay for it. Coming up on DBL, did Prince William really attack Prince Harry? We've got the details from Harry's new memoir. Welcome back. Happy 2023, everyone. With the new year comes new relationships, but one thing that isn't new, gossip sites giving us all the juicy deets on these Hollywood couples. But actually, are they even true? Okay. So two of the newest potential couples include Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. No, Brangelina is not getting back together, but the exes have both been spotted with much younger boos. Brad seems to be in an exclusive relationship with his 29-year-old girlfriend, Inez de Ramon. The lovebirds just spent New Year's Eve on a romantic trip to Mexico. And Angelina, she was seen on a coffee date in London with 26-year-old actor Paul Mescal after she attended a play he was in. But Angelina's 16-year-old daughter was also there, so maybe there were just a couple of actors enjoying a latte? Actually, no, it looks like 2023 might have brought Cupid's arrows to these divorcees. Love's in the air. Here's something that's not new in 2023. Leo dating a new girl who is, yes, younger than 25. Leonardo DiCaprio and 23-year-old Victoria Lamas were spotted ringing in 2023 together in St. Bart's. Now, according to inside sources, this is the 4th time they have hung out in a month. Sounds pretty serious if you ask me. Now, you know Victoria's actor dad, Lorenzo Lamas. He even told the Post she is smitten with him. Gee, wasn't Leo just with Gigi, the supermodel? Actually, it seems like that relationship may have been left behind in 2022. Or because she's 27. It's ancient. That's all for this week. We'll be right back. Got warm. Sorry about all that with the rant. Welcome back to DBL. Prince Harry's new book hits stores next week, but we're already learning major bombshells. So according to Harry, Prince William physically attacked him over his marriage to Meghan. Harry says back in 2019, his brother called Meghan, quote, difficult and rude, and then grabbed him by the collar, broke his necklace before knocking Harry to the floor. Erica, what do you feel about that? Did you think that had gone to this level?
I'm not shocked by that.
I wasn't either.
No.
I'm not either.
But adult siblings throwing hands, that's next level. Like, that's something that's like, yeah, that's a hard stop. Like, you can't come back from that. Well, I guess you could, but it's going to be hard. I want to think about it from the side of William.
Yeah.
Although I do not agree with it.
Right.
If you are an older sibling You have absolutely followed every single thing. You've gone by protocol. You do nothing wrong. You follow in line with what your parents and family group has said. This is how we behave. And you have a younger sibling who goes, quote, rogue and has a different set of rules that they have to adhere to. And also, William has more to lose. I understand why he's so angry.
The stakes were so high.
The game changed and nobody told him. We call it somebody moved a pickle.
Moved the pickle.
That was an old school.
Like the pickles been moved.
Saying that.
Nobody told William. But William, we tried to tell you. You should have paid more attention. Your brother was right. I have to listen to my younger siblings a lot of times too to realize that maybe the way that I think, which is more in tune with the way that my parents think, isn't necessarily the way that the world is moving to. So it's a tough lesson to learn. William is losing, but it's also because he refuses to evolve.
Right.
And I mean, but Erica, the last word you said, I think, sums up everything. Evolve, and that's what the monarchy doesn't do. They're not allowed to. If there's any evolution, there's an absolute problem going on. And here you have somebody who's been just kind of marginalized by his family. He's always been just kind of William on the side.
As it's called.
And so he's like, okay, I'm not gonna be the next king, so I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna marry this person. This is who I love. This is what I'm gonna support. But they're still like, no, even though you're going to be considered, you know, the spare, you're still going to support this family in every way and walk the walk. And he refused to do that. So what we have in the situation is an unstoppable force and an immovable object, the love of his wife versus, and I'm glad you brought up William's side of it too. He's invested in this. And he has a right to fiercely defend that. So I think that came to a head. And I think coming to blows, that's why no one's shocked. I can understand you're not going to talk about my wife like that, but you're not going to talk about our family like this.
Our whole, or thousands of years.
And here we are.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a turning point in the royal family.
I would say so.
I think it's a big turning point, and that book is going to fly off the shelves. We'll be right back.
During Monday Night Football, Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin collapsed and was rushed to the hospital after making a tackle. He remains in critical condition after suffering from cardiac arrest. Soon after, a number of people on social media shared this graph. Posts like this one claimed it shows that because of the COVID vaccine, more than 1,600 athletes have collapsed from cardiac arrest and more than 1,000 have died. But this graph is misleading. Using these sources, we'll explain why and show you what's really behind these numbers. The graph comes from a website called Good Sciencing. It's run anonymously by people who claim to be truth seekers, focused mostly on the COVID vaccines. In this article, we can see where they got the numbers displayed on the graph, and it doesn't come from academic research or public health data. Instead, it's a manually compiled list based largely on randomly assembled media reports, which the anonymous author says they found from research and reader submissions. They claim their list is of, quote, mainly young athletes who had major medical issues in 2021 or 2022 after receiving one or more COVID vaccines. Now, you might think by athletes, they mean pros like Damar Hamlin, or at least semi-pros or college athletes. But the site actually just says it considers athletes to be anyone who, quote, is reasonably fit, healthy, and does some athletic activity rather than an unfit couch potato. All right, now, given all that, let's take a closer look at the people who made the cut. First, we found numerous instances where the list links to news reports that have no mention of the person's vaccination status, meaning there is no proof that this list of people were all vaccinated. Second, many of the people don't even meet the author's own broad definition of an athlete. The list includes multiple children as young as 5 years old. It includes coaches, like college football's Mike Leach, who recently died at 61. And it includes dozens of senior citizens, some retired pros, some regular people doing ordinary exercise. Soccer legend Pele, who died at 82, and baseball great Hank Aaron, who died at 86, are included. Third, we found numerous instances where there is a known cause of death that has nothing to do with cardiac arrest, let alone the COVID vaccine. The site itself even states for many of the deaths that the people listed had cancer, like Pele. A 9-year-old child on the list died from sepsis caused by strep A, and multiple people on the list died from COVID. So simply put, this graph does not show any evidence that athlete collapses or deaths have increased because of the COVID vaccine. Now, athletes do sometimes experience sudden cardiac arrest, but academic research shows no evidence the COVID vaccine increased the odds of that happening.
Athletes have cardiac arrest. If you think about what a competitive athlete does, a high school, college, or professional athlete, they're out on the field, their heart rate is faster, their stress hormones are revved up, their electrolytes might be out of whack because they're sweating, they're breathing heavy, they might be a little bit dehydrated. We've had athletes collapse on the field for decades, long before COVID even existed, and definitely long before the COVID vaccine.
With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back. What's it time for, Al?
Time for some deals?
Time for some shopping. Yes. Check out these amazing products from our friends at Morning Save. Steph, what do you have for us today? I'm in the mood to shop.
Hey Tori, and hi DBL Nation. We are so excited to show you all of the deals today, and believe me, they are great, so let's check them all out. First up, we have got the 2-pack Villanovum Zero Shift Plush Gel Fiber Pillows. So this deal includes 2 pillows available in standard or king size. Normally, they are $130 to $150, but we've got 2 for $29.99 to $34.99, which saves you guys 77%. Now this one is right up my alley. It is the Untitled Foot Spa Bath Massager. Whoa. So this deal includes 1 foot spa massager that is perfect to help you relax. Normally, Tori, they are $200. But guess what, Tori? What? We've got it for $34.99. So that saves everyone 83%. Oh. Now this is really fancy. Get ready for your mind to be blown. Whoa. Because this is the Go Wise USA 12.7 quart deluxe air fryer oven with 10 accessories. Whoa. So this deal includes 1 air fryer oven, a recipe book, and 10 accessories. So normally this is $240, but we've got it for just $79.99. So that's saving you 67%. And now our last product today is the Villanovum 6-piece bamboo from rayon sheet set. So this deal includes 1 flat sheet, 1 fitted sheet, and 4 pillowcases. And normally this set is $130, but guess what, Tori? We've got it between $29.99 to $39.99, which is saving you guys 77%.
Head on over, everyone, to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or like I say always, you can just scan that QR code right on screen and it will take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Steph, as always, wonderful job. Thank you so much.
That foot bath is going to be mine.
You said it like you said it so weird.
You know,
it's going to be mine.
That foot bath.
No.
That'll be mine.
Hook or crook, yes.
I got some really great comments about William and Harry. I love this one. Kayla says Harry is his mother's child. William is his father's child.
That's a great angle.
Dang.
That's a really great angle.
And Steve says it's normal for brothers to do it, but it's abnormal for royals to say it. And I appreciate that too. Interesting.
2 people with better takes than I have.
Yeah, you should come on and do our job. DBL is new every day. We'll see you same time, please.